Hi, Lee Phillips here. I want to talk to you for a couple of seconds about selling the beneficial interest in a trust. You've got the trust, the grantor, the grantee, or grantor, trustor, whoever puts the stuff into the trust. Then the trustee manages the assets of the trust, and then underneath that are the beneficiaries. The trustee manages the assets of the trust for the best interest, beneficial interest of the beneficiaries. So that's basically the way a trust is set up. Now, in your standard living revocable trust, the beneficiaries while you're alive are you, husband, wife, whoever, and then when you die, the kids usually become the beneficiaries. We call them contingent beneficiaries now because they're contingent upon your death, basically. So you've got these beneficiaries, and the question is, can they sell a beneficial interest? And the answer is, we don't usually worry about selling beneficial interests in a trust. Your living revocable trust is going to have a provision in it, which is called a spendthrift provision. And people come to me all the time and, I've got this spendthrift trust or this spendthrift asset protection, stand on my head, wave it twice, trust is going to be perfect and nobody can get to it because it's got a spendthrift provision. Well, a spendthrift provision in a trust is one paragraph. And it says, and if I've got that paragraph in a trust, then it's a spendthrift trust. It says that a beneficiary cannot anticipate, they can't sell, they can't deal with their beneficial interest in the trust until they actually get the greedy little money in their handsies, and then it's theirs anyway. So your living revocable trust, your standard estate trust, is going to have a provision in it which says that the beneficiaries can't sell their beneficial interest. Well, where does this come into play? It comes into play in land trusts. So the guy sets up a land trust. He puts his piece of property into the land trust, and about 6-7 states actually have land trust laws. All the other states say, it's just a baby living revocable trust. So I've got my land trust, doesn't matter which state it's in, we'll call it a land trust. I put the property into it, and then we sell the beneficial interest in the trust. Now, in theory, this trust isn't going to have a spendthrift provision in it, so the beneficiary, you, could sell your interest in the trust to somebody else. And they use this to get around the due on sale clause, the Garn-St. Germain Act, 1990, 81, 82, whenever it was passed, says that anytime a piece of property is transferred, it allows the mortgage company to trigger the due on sale clause, and they can trigger and demand the whole mortgage at that point. It keeps you from transferring the property and making it so that the mortgage company doesn't get its fair mortgage. And nobody's ever worried about this since Garn-St. Germain. But now that interest rates are going up, people are going to start worrying about it. The banks are going to start worrying about it. So they put the property in the land trust, and then they sell the beneficial interest. Well, don't do it. No, under no circumstances. No, nada, because they've run several test cases, and they get you on mail fraud, they get you on federal mortgage fraud, they get you on half of 3 dozen different things because you have fraudulently, you've intended to conceal the fact that you've sold this property. Because you didn't really sell a property, you just sold the beneficial interest. No, you actually sold the property. The Garn-St. Germain Act actually has an exception number 8, for trusts. But it says that the grantor has to be the beneficiary, and the beneficiary has to stay the beneficiary, and the beneficiary has to continue to occupy the property. And there are all these exceptions in this exception to trusts, And basically it's yours, you still live in it, you're the beneficiary, you're the trustee, you're the dude. And as soon as you transfer the beneficial interest, you've triggered the due on sale clause. So this concept of selling a beneficial interest is primarily dealing with these guys trying to get around the due on sale clause. Generally, we don't sell beneficial interests in trusts. In theory, they could be sold, but in reality, you're never going to have it in your living trust because you have a spendthrift provision which says no. You're just not going to do it. So don't worry about selling the beneficial interest in a trust. Now don't forget to subscribe to our channel here because we keep putting out new stuff and hopefully you like it. And give us the likes and the thumbs up and the waves and whatever we do in cyberspace these days. So Lee Phillips talking about selling the beneficial interest in a trust.